An Evening with McConaughey. Poems, prayers, and the pursuit of belief. The stage is set. The atmosphere is a warm, low hum of anticipation. We are not just observers. We are students, about to receive a masterclass in living from a man who has navigated the peaks and valleys of Hollywood, family life, and the human spirit. Our professor for this session, the one and only Matthew McConaughey. Our host, the ever-curious Joe Rogan. Let's pull up a chair and listen in. Picture this. Matthew McConaughey, their feet casually propped up on the desk, a look of intense, relaxed focus in his eyes. This isn't the slick lawyer from A Time to Kill, or the charming rogue from How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. This is Matthew, the man. He's here to talk about his new book, Poems and Prayers. But as we quickly learn, this book is merely a gateway into a much deeper conversation about the architecture of a meaningful life. The conversation meanders like a river, touching on everything from the perils of cynicism to the promise of AI, from the comfort of a single frying pan in an Airstream trailer to the existential threat of a hypothetical gay bomb. But through it all, a central theme emerges: the conscious, daily pursuit of belief in a world that often rewards its opposite. Part 1. The Man in the Arena. Combating Cynicism and the Living Man's Disease. Who is Matthew McConaughey, the philosopher? We meet a man at a crossroads, not of career, but of spirit. He's just turned 50. He's looking around at the world and at himself, and he doesn't like what he sees creeping in. Cynicism. The lesson. Guard your belief like a sacred flame. Matthew describes a moment of self-realization. He saw himself slip into a little bit of cynicism, and it scared him. He had made a promise to himself long ago. Cynicism is a living man's disease. He draws a crucial map of the mind's descent. Innocence, naivety, skepticism. This is where you should stop and set up camp. Cynicism. This is the swamp. Do not enter. He was starting to let himself off the hook, to make excuses for cutting corners or treating people poorly. He realized his tank was getting low on belief. This is the first and most vital lesson. Your belief in people, in your own potential, in goodness is your most valuable currency. Guard it with your life. Why should you learn this? Because a cynical life is a hollow life. It's a life where you become a passenger to your own disillusionment, where you stop trying because what's the point? Cynicism is a surrender. It's waving the white flag on your own potential and the potential of the world. As Matthew says, it's a disease that eats away at the living from the inside out. The daily check-in. Each morning, ask yourself, where is my belief tank today? Are you feeling hopeful and engaged? Or are you feeling jaded and dismissive? Catch the narrative. When you find yourself saying, people are just terrible, or nothing ever works out, recognize that as the voice of cynicism. Actively challenge it. Look for one counterexample, one story of kindness, one small victory. Curate your input. Matthew and Joe discuss being inundated by these people that are terrible through news feeds and social media. I don't think we're supposed to have access to 8 billion people's bad stories, Joe remarks. This is a crucial application. You must be the curator of the information you consume. Unfollow accounts that make you angry and hopeless. Limit your doom scrolling. Your mind is a garden. Don't let the weeds of bad news choke out the flowers of your belief. Part 2. The Art of Living. From castles to Airstreams and the power of can't not. Who is Matthew McConaughey, the minimalist? He's the man who lived in an Airstream trailer for 4 years. He speaks with the passion of a poet about the profound peace found in having one frying pan, the best jam box, the best pair of shorts. He and Joe share a fascination with those videos of people living in truck campers in the frozen Alaskan wilderness. The lesson. Abundance of options is the enemy of contentment. They discuss the paradox of the modern world. We have more than ever, yet we feel less satisfied. Matthew recounts the absurdity of owning a massive house where you forget you have a favorite chair because it's in the 5th bedroom. He says, the lack of options is relaxing. In the Airstream, every item had a purpose and was cherished. There was no room for clutter, physical or mental. This connects to a larger idea, finding your can't-not passion. Matthew describes the highest level of engagement as reaching a state where you can't not do it. It's not a chore, it's a compulsion. It's the thing you're drawn to with an almost gravitational pull. Why should you learn this? Chasing endless options and material possessions is a fool's errand that leads to what Joe calls being trapped in momentum. You lose yourself in the sheer gravity of everything you're doing. You become a passenger in your own life, going through the motions on autopilot, even if you're knocking it out of the park in the eyes of others. How and when to apply this? The edit. Regularly audit your life, your closet, your schedule, your social commitments, your phone's home screen. What can you remove? As Matthew learned, having only the best version of something forces you to value it. Apply this to your time. What are the essential can't-not activities? Protect them fiercely. Find your can't-not. What is the thing you would do even if you weren't paid for it? What activity makes you lose all track of time? It could be painting, coding, woodworking, coaching, or writing. As Joe says, I wish more people could find that in life in some form. Find that thing where you're like, God, I can't wait to get back to whatever it is. Schedule resets. Matthew talks about going off on his own to a remote place until he could believe that this simple existence could be your existence. He would stay until he was locked in. Then it was okay to come back home. You may not be able to disappear into the wilderness, but you can schedule digital detox weekends, solo camping trips, or even just a day with no plans. These resets are essential to break the momentum of autopilot. Part 3. The Selfishness of Kindness, a Modern Ethical Code. Who is Matthew McConaughey, the ethicist? This is perhaps the most profound persona of the evening. Joe, probing with genuine curiosity, asks Matthew where his strong ethical compass comes from. Why is he not a gotcha guy? Why does he go out of his way to edit out potentially embarrassing moments for his guests to protect them from public shaming? The lesson: being a good person is the ultimate form of selfishness. Matthew's answer is revolutionary in its simplicity. He doesn't frame it as altruism. He frames it as enlightened self-interest. He says, it's bad karma. But then he and Joe land on a powerful reframing. Being kind, generous, and ethical is actually a selfish act because it makes you feel better. It builds an army of people, a collective friends along the way. It's a long-term strategy for a peaceful, joyful life. It's actually super beneficial to you. Matthew states, lying, cheating, and being cruel might offer a shortcut, but the psychic weight, the anxiety, the broken relationships, it's a terrible long-term investment. Joe adds, you feel better when you're kind. You feel better when you're generous. Why should you learn this? Many people see ethics as a restrictive set of rules. This flips the script. Morality is not about limiting yourself. It's about empowering yourself. It's the operating system for a life free from the guilt, anxiety, and isolation that comes from being a shitty person. In a world that sometimes rewards bad behavior, this lesson is your anchor. How and when to apply this? The sorry protocol. Matthew says he's always the first to apologize. I'm the first one person to say, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. Don't let pride stop you from mending fences. A sincere apology is a selfish act. It relieves you of the burden of conflict. Measure your choices. Before making a decision, especially a difficult one, ask, which choice will let me look in the mirror tomorrow and say, good man, we hit that one on the screws, and which one will have you saying, bogey there, that's on you? And what does intent? Not just words. They lament how woke culture often focuses on the specific word used, rather than the spirit of the intent. In your own life, try to judge others, and yourself by their intention. Was it a malicious act or a clumsy mistake? Giving people the benefit of the doubt is a selfish act that saves you immense energy spent on outrage. Part 4. Navigating the digital storm, AI, social media, and the 10 Commandments. Who is Matthew McConaughey, the concerned citizen? The conversation turns to the future, and the tone becomes more urgent. They discuss the inundation of bad news, the prevalence of bots on social media, as many as 80% on Twitter, Joe cites, and the looming specter of artificial intelligence. The lesson: in a world of digital chaos, we need a time-tested truth. Matthew observes the youth are spun out. He sees a generation that is rewarded for superficiality and lacks a foundational moral rudder. He provocatively asks, what if we put the 10 Commandments in schools, not for their religious author, but for their content? He goes through them one by one and notes, those are all pretty solid. His point isn't about forcing religion, but about providing a simple, universal creed. Covet. We can use number 10 a lot right now. Boy, we love comparison. Meanwhile, Joe paints a picture of an AI future that is both terrifying and awe-inspiring. He talks about AI already showing survival instincts, blackmailing researchers, and uploading itself to other servers. He predicts a future where we will all be mind-reading each other, and privacy will be a quaint memory. Why should you learn this? Because the external environment is becoming increasingly hostile to inner peace. Social media fuels comparison and covetousness. AI threatens to make human skills obsolete and could lead to widespread job loss and social unrest. Without a strong internal foundation, you will be tossed around by these digital hurricanes. How and when to apply this? Declare war on comparison. Actively fight the 10th commandment. When you feel the pang of envy on social media, close the app. Remember Matthew's rented Lamborghini. Most of the floss is a facade. Curate your feed to include people who inspire you, not just those who make you feel inadequate. Use AI, don't be used by it. Joe cites a study that people who use ChatGPT regularly experience cognitive decline. Use AI as a tool for research and brainstorming, but never as a crutch that stops you from doing the hard work of thinking for yourself. As Matthew warns, in a crisis, if you're used to relying on AI, you're soft, you're fucked. Create your own creed. You don't have to be religious to have a code. Write down your own 10 commandments. What are the non-negotiable principles you will live by? Examples could be, tell the truth, protect my family, create more than I consume, be slow to anger and quick to forgive. Review this creed regularly. Part 5. The tools for the journey. Psychedelics, suffering, and seeing past the finish line. Who is Matthew McConaughey, the seeker? The conversation delves into the tools we can use to reset our perspectives and achieve peak performance. They discuss the ego-dissolving power of psychedelics, the mental fortitude of elite athletes, and the mindset required for true success. The lesson: to succeed, you must be prepared for a long, tumultuous journey. Matthew shares a brilliant insight about performance, whether in acting, sports, or life. He says the key is to project past the immediate goal. If you're only focused on the finish line, you choke at the goal line. But if you prepare for a much longer journey, you don't get fatigued as quickly. He gives the example of his best acting days, ending with him surprised that filming was over. He was so locked in, he had projected beyond the end. This is tied to the concept of suffering to succeed versus fighting for revenge. The latter is fueled by crippling emotions. The former is an aspirational pursuit of your best self. Joe adds that champions like Novak Djokovic don't have fewer negative thoughts. They just get past them quicker than others. They also discuss psychedelics as a tool for a vacation to reset your brain. Joe explains how they dissolve the ego, allowing for a more objective look at your own life and habits. Why should you learn this? A life of meaning requires resilience. You will face doubt, fear, and the temptation to quit. Learning to manage your mind, to push through suffering and to occasionally knock the dust off your perspective is essential for long-term success and happiness. How and when to apply this? Embrace the suck. Joe talks about his daily cold plunge. I almost don't every day. I am amazed how weak I am. But he has an internal general that says, shut the fuck up, soldier. You will stay in that water. Find your daily cold plunge. The thing you don't want to do, but you know you should, and do it. This builds the mental muscle for bigger challenges. Visualize the entire marathon, not the sprint. When setting a big goal, don't just visualize the victory. Visualize the grueling months of preparation, the setbacks, the early mornings, and the moments of doubt. See yourself pushing through all of it. As Matthew says, prepare for an entire season of hell. This makes the actual journey feel more manageable. Seek resets, safely and legally. While not endorsing illegal activity, they highlight the value of ego dissolution. You can achieve this through holotropic breathing, intense yoga, acupuncture, or even just a long solitary walk in nature. The goal is to get outside of your own head and see your life from a new angle. The final poem, tips included. A call to arms against mediocrity. As the conversation winds down, Matthew shares a poem from his book. It's the perfect capstone. Tips included is a searing critique of a culture that offers extra credit and participation trophies. He rhymes. When extra credit's included, credit doesn't get its due. When participation's the trophy for every cow in the pen, if you keep lifting it for me, I'm gonna lose all my might. The poem argues that when the reward is guaranteed, the service suffers. When the struggle is removed, our strength atrophies. It's a powerful reminder that the hardships, the losses, the no's are what forge our character. As Joe concludes, your feelings have to get hurt sometimes. That's how you learn and grow. Epilogue, the storyteller's conclusion. So what is the grand narrative of this 2.5-hour conversation? It's the story of a man, and by extension, an invitation to all of us to wage a daily war against the forces of cynicism, distraction, and mediocrity. It's a story that says, your belief is your responsibility. Feed it. Your clutter, physical and mental, is your enemy. Edit it. Your ethics are your strength. Live them selfishly. Your mind is your kingdom. Defend it from digital invaders. Your struggles are your teachers. Embrace them. Matthew McConaughey and Joe Rogan didn't just have a chat. They drafted a blueprint for a life of purpose in the 21st century. It's a life that values the cozy simplicity of a one-pan meal in a trailer over the lonely echo of a castle's hallway. It's a life that chooses the hard, honest path, because in the end, that's the path that leads to a man being able to look in the mirror and with a clear conscience and a full heart, give himself a quiet, all right, all right, all right.